Good afternoon. It is Friday, October 13th, 2023. Got a couple of birthdays to talk about real quick, as well as a few events. And when looking through the events, I noticed that from 1968 to 1984, there were no events run on this date. So, again, like we mentioned in the other videos, we're getting to that time of year where some series are winding down, some kind of have that break near the end of the year, so it's going to be a little spotty. But we do have a lot of events post 1983. So on this day in 1984, Larry Pearson wins at Hickory in the Busch Series, now Xfinity, for his first career win in that division. And that was kind of a transitional win when you really think about the scope of that series. Because Sam Ard and Jack Ingram, this is going to be the last season that either one of those two really are title contenders. Yeah, Jack would have a couple strong years after that, and Sam's injured at the end of this season. But this is kind of like the preview. This is what's coming up, because 85, Ingram does win the title. I misspoke. Ingram does win the title because he won in 82 and 85, and Ard won in 83 and 84. But, excuse me, but in 86, 87, Larry Pearson's your champion. But this is just kind of a preview of, hey, the older guard kind of moving out and the newer guard kind of moving in. On this day in 2000, at Texas in the Truck Series, Brian Refner wins his only career race in that series, but sadly it's the event that took the life of Tony Roper in an early race crash. Of course, 2000 was 2000 and 2001, a really, really tough time in NASCAR. Rick Houston has a podcast out called Firestorm. I suggest you go listen to that. It's really, really well done. And it does chronicle some of the events surrounding this race as well. 2002, there was two events on the same day, and they were both first-time winners. We'll start at Las Vegas in the Truck Series. David Starr wins his first career race out there just a few days after his birthday, so I'm sure that was a really cool birthday present for him. And at Charlotte, in his second career Cup Series start on this day, Jamie McMurray wins driving the number 40 car that Sterling Marlin has temporarily vacated due to injury. And then on this day in 2006, Dave Blaney wins his first and only career Busch Series race, also at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We've talked about Daytona and Talladega and some of these other tracks being, first-time winners. Well, Charlotte's starting to pop up there now during this era. So let's talk about our birthdays. Born on this day in 1964, he was an ASA driver, ran a little bit in the trucks in the Busch Series, and actually played in one minor league baseball game, which was chronicled on that NASCAR 360 program a number of years ago, Mr. Tim Sauter. I don't have a card of him. If I did, we'd show you. And same goes for our next driver, born on this day in 2006, one of the youngest we've mentioned on the program, Sean Hingorani, of course, last year's West Series champion in the ARCA Series. He's run some ARCA National Series, a few truck races. If he can get some good rides, I think there'll be some big things for him in the future. So moving forward, born on this day in 1958, he worked for ESPN, ESPN2, ABC, and was host of the show RPM Tonight for quite a while. That'd be Mr. John Kernan. Not sure what Mr. Kernan's up to right now, but we'll flip these around and give you a little more insight about his career. Always liked his, I remember him coming into NASCAR pit reporting in 89 or 90, and I was like, who's this guy? And it took a while to get used to him, but really, really liked his delivery and the way him and Jerry Punch meshed really well as pit reporters. And our final birthday today, born on this day in 1958, kind of an underrated crew chief, if you ask me, because a lot of people talk about him. Mostly was spent time in the Busch Series. I think he did go to Cup a little bit here and there. But Mr. David Ifft. So we'll show you the back of the card here so you can get a little bit of his. There you see he was with a few Cup teams there in the 70s. Did pretty well. But then moved back down to Busch Series. And that's where I know him from, because I didn't get to watch him, obviously being born in 76 myself. Didn't get to watch his stuff in the 70s. but I do remember him as being a Busch Series crew chief there in the late 80s through the mid 90s in the Busch Series, and just seemed very, very underrated. I think a lot of those old school crew chiefs, kind of like him, maybe Bob Johnson comes to mind, and a few of these other ones that knew how to set the car up. Jake Elder's a good one. These guys knew how to, when a driver came in, and all they needed to know what the car was doing was take tire temps, and then they could fix the car from there. Of course, now you have all these engineers and sim rigs and 7-post shakers, and that's why the sport is now so expensive. And even on the lower levels of racing, it's starting to catch up. Where you look at the ARCA series and how spread out the field is. You have the Gibbs cars and the Venturini cars, and unless something happens to one of those 2 or 3 cars, that's where your winner's coming from 95% of the time right now. And it's because they're coming in with very, very high-end stuff, and some of the other folks that are in the middle and back of the pack are literally, I've been in the ARCA pits a couple times, taking pictures and autograph seeking and so forth, and some of these cars are coming in on open trailers, just like somebody that moves a refrigerator or something. These guys are doing it for the love, and unfortunately the business model's pushing those guys out. So anyway, thanks again for watching. Really, really do appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow morning with something to rip. Not sure what we're going to open yet. Do have some Meyer finds, so we might go that route. So anyway, thanks again for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Friday.